So it's becoming a bit more difficult to communicate with your partner in the season that you're in currently. And you're like, man, this is not how I wanted to start 2025 at all. You could also be thinking, how did we even get here? Like, this is my partner. I chose this individual. I should know how to communicate with them. Communication should be like the basic form of swapping information. The good news is this could be just a simple case of information interpretation. Let's break that down. Me and you are going to do an exercise. You probably have done something similar before, and no, you don't have to get up and do it right now. It's a simple writing exercise. But to fully grasp what I'm saying, I need you to feel the physical difference between the two exercises I'm going to have you do. So do it at some point. Paper, pen, and the first thing I want you to do is write your name with your dominant hand. You guessed it. Now I want you to write your name with your non-dominant hand. Here's mine. It may or may not be backwards, but that's not the point. The point of this exercise is when you wrote it with your dominant hand, it was like breathing. It took zero to little effort to be able to write your first name with your dominant hand. Now, even though you know your name like the back of your hand, writing it with your non-dominant hand, you had to think about it first. You had to focus. It felt uncomfortable. It felt different. It felt odd, unless you're ambidextrous. But that right there is how information interpretation works. Here's a simple example. You're sitting on the couch, and from the distance, another room in the house, your partner asks, hey, are these clothes clean? That's a simple question, right? Based on the individual who's interpreting the information, it could be very complex. Now, if you're an individual that faced a lot of criticism growing up, as a child or as a young teen, you had to do a lot of chores, things of that nature. When somebody asks you a question like that, it immediately takes you back to a place where you almost feel like you have to defend yourself if you felt like they're asking, did you forget to do these clothes? So the first wave of interpretation of that information isn't as simple as they think it should be. You start over explaining on why they aren't or are clean, and the person asking simply just needed a yes or a no based on what they're trying to do with the clothes. Now, I could give you an entire slew of examples, a myriad of examples where information interpretation is different between both individuals. I'm talking just extremely opposite. However, the bottom line is this: when it comes down to any topic, any conversation, any intense debate, what's going to happen is 9 times out of 10, because you are both interpreting information in a vastly different manner, you'll get hung up on feeling misunderstood, and it'll start to become a you versus them conversation rather than you and them versus whatever the issue actually is. If you're hearing an issue and you automatically put it through your filtration device and you interpret it as you're doing something wrong, it usually is going to trigger some sort of defense mechanism. And usually that follows up with, okay, well, if this is a time where we're shining the light on where I'm doing something wrong, and I didn't shine the light on you the last time you did something wrong, I'm going to take this time to kind of show you exactly what you could be working on as well. Simply put, that last part can sound like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I felt uncomfortable when X. And that person can then respond with, well, I felt uncomfortable when you did X. What we can do to combat this is really try to hone in these next couple of months on what our information interpretation really and truly looks like and where it stems from. You can find this out in many different ways. One way is when you hear or receive a compliment from someone, how do you respond? Your very first knee-jerk reaction will tell you exactly how you interpret that kind of information. Do the exact same thing with a critique or a criticism, professionally and personally. If you can take constructive criticism better from your colleagues and your boss better than you can your partner or your other family members, that might be something you need to sit with. If you can't or don't respond to your spouse when they bring something to your attention with, thank you for bringing that to my attention, I had no idea that that's how you felt when I did or said these things, I will do better in the future. Can you make sure you hold me accountable if you see me slipping off of these actionables or these executables in the future so that I can course correct? And instead, it feels more so like an attack, or you feel defensive even if their tone is perfect. We may need to dive into that and see exactly where it stems from, heal that portion of our mind and heart, and then we can come back to the current and present day of how we associate with intense communication or just simple questions. And I think it will begin to build on a better foundation after that happens. I'm hoping this helps somebody out there. Until next time.